So I'm reading a report. Coming out of Smackdown Live this past Tuesday where Becky Lynch had to find a replacement for her match against Ronda Rousey at the Survivor Series. So I'm reading this report from PW Insider Elite. And I'm reading that both Vince McMahon and Triple H were not at television this week. I'm assuming because Triple H is probably in LA getting ready for TakeOver. And Vince McMahon, I don't know why Vince McMahon wouldn't be at Smackdown Live. Maybe he was in LA too, getting ready for the Survivor Series. I don't know. But the report states that Vince McMahon and Triple H were both not at television during Smackdown Live. Now, in that same vein, the title of this report is WWE was considering taking the title off of Becky Lynch before Survivor Series. Now, I don't know in what manner they would have taken the title off of Becky Lynch, but I mentioned on the podcast yesterday that, injured or not, I would actually go with the storyline of taking the title off of Becky Lynch. Not by her being pinned, but I would strip Becky Lynch of the championship, no matter if she's injured or not. At this point, WWE has to take the title off of Becky Lynch to maximize whatever's going to happen in January all the way through April as we get to WrestleMania. But we all know that the match with Ronda Rousey was canceled off the Survivor Series card. She can't compete. She's got a broken face. We went over why WWE went with broken face over broken nose. It's a little bit more badass. It's a little bit more, I guess, brutal sounding. And it really plays up to the Becky Lynch character. And she has a severe concussion. So she's not on the Survivor Series card. We know that much from the punch delivered by mailman Nia Jax. Now, Dave Scherer said on PW Insider Elite that he heard there was talk within the WWE on Tuesday of taking the title off of Becky Lynch so that the Survivor Series match could remain a champion versus champion encounter. Thankfully, he says, WWE went in another direction with their decision. Vince McMahon and Triple H were both not at television this week, so Becky had, the situation where they were running around with a bunch of different ideas. So, what you want, but without the top two people there, Vince and Triple H, there was a lot of, and he says, what should we do? So he's painting a picture of Triple H and Vince McMahon not being there and his goons running around with their heads cut off. And any ideas being thrown around Becky Lynch having the title taken off of her. Some of which, the ideas that he said he heard, which were totally ridiculous. Now, I don't know what that entails. He did not go into it in detail. Obviously, the only way would have been to take the title off her and strip her. Because there's no way she would be in a match and have her lose with a concussion and a broken face. He says at the end of the day, what they decided to do was the smart thing. I've heard there was talk of taking the title off of Becky, which would have been stupid for a number of reasons. End quote. He then pointed out how Lesnar held the Universal title and didn't defend it within the 30 days. So that sets a precedent where you don't have to take the title off a champion because they can't compete for a short time. Yeah, but not everybody is Brock Lesnar. Not everybody is Brock Lesnar. Rules in WWE apply to some, and then they don't apply to others. And WWE has this tendency to institute rules at their own discretion. Now, we all know, and I mentioned this, even if Becky has the title and she doesn't defend it within the 30 days, that doesn't give WWE the right to take it off of her because they don't really do that rule with anybody else. They ignore that rule 9 times out of 10. But this is the opportunity in which it would actually play and factor in to the storyline and maximize everything else that you're trying to plan for the future. On top of that, it gives Becky Lynch that much more fuel to come back and give us an even greater moment. She won the title. We want her as the champion. So you're going to I mentioned this yesterday, you're going to give up the championship and you're going to have her win the Royal Rumble, and you're pretty much taking it off her for the time being, only to replace it with the Raw title when she beats Rousey at WrestleMania. So I think that's a good trade-off. Give up the title now, win the Royal Rumble, get to main event WrestleMania, beat Ronda Rousey, and be the first one to do it. I think Becky's getting more in the end than she has right now with the SmackDown Live Women's Championship. I don't think the match at Survivor Series between Charlotte and Ronda Rousey needs a championship. I mean, it sells itself. It's two of the biggest women in the entire company going at it. So it doesn't really need a championship, and you still get that SmackDown versus Raw theme anyway. Titles weren't going to be on the line, and it's a different situation. It's just a different narrative now with Becky choosing somebody to go in and battle for her, which in the end is going to spawn off another storyline. And Sunday night's going to be the start of that. So he pointed out how Lesnar held the Universal title and didn't defend it within the 30 days. So thankfully, Becky Lynch kept her title on Tuesday. They didn't do anything with it as of right now. And after such a long journey to get Becky where she is now, they decided to simply give Ronda the match with Charlotte so that they can keep the title on Becky Lynch. Now, that doesn't mean that Becky is going to have the title going into TLC. I mentioned yesterday, and I even posted it on Twitter, and a lot of you guys really liked where I was going with the entire horsewomen stuff. So, WWE considering taking the title off Becky Lynch before Survivor Series. According to some, they don't like that idea. I think it's a great idea to take the title off of Becky Lynch. Because this is what you're going to do, and I'm going to reiterate it again for you guys today. Becky gets stripped going into TLC. We get the 30 days, and then you start to set up a women's tournament. Now, that's going to really drive home the fact that we are going to get the four horsewomen feud of UFC and WWE sometime in 2019. And that all starts by taking the title off of Becky Lynch. Because there's no greater fuck you than having Shayna Baszler come on to SmackDown Live and take that title, who is obviously representing Ronda, but she's on SmackDown Live. So not only does Becky have to deal with Ronda and her trash talking, now she's got Ronda's best friend on the same brand as her, who is now going to be the representative for that women's division with the championship. There's no bigger fuck you than that. So I don't understand why people are claiming that with Becky having the championship, it's better. I think they have the mentality in mind of, oh, you're going to fuck Becky over after all this time. It's not her fault that she got punched in the face. Yes, but you got to think of the bigger picture. Shayna coming out and being the fifth woman on Team SmackDown Live at Survivor Series is picture perfect. Picture perfect. Then you strip Becky of the championship. You set up an 8-woman tournament, which is going to result in Charlotte versus Shayna Baszler, and Shayna's going to win the championship. And Shayna's going to hold that championship until WrestleMania, where she loses it to Charlotte. There's nothing wrong with Charlotte being replaced by Becky Lynch to go against Ronda Rousey. So in this case, Ronda has Becky, and Charlotte gets someone who I honestly think is better than Ronda Rousey, in Shayna Baszler. And you have both brands represented by two of the WWE horsewomen against two of the UFC horsewomen. I don't understand what the issue is there. Because Becky is the SmackDown Live champion, you can't face the fact that having her stripped of the championship is going to be better off in the end? Look at what you get so much more with Becky in the end here. She wins the Royal Rumble. You book the epic confrontation that's probably going to be of mythical proportion with Nia Jax and Becky Lynch in the Royal Rumble. You get those two as the final two, and it's continuing a story that everyone is already so highly invested in. Becky wins the Royal Rumble. She challenges Ronda Rousey. That's the only way she can get to Ronda. That's the only way she can get to Ronda right now, is by winning the Royal Rumble. There's no other way right now, outside of the Survivor Series match that was planned, for Becky to get to Ronda. Unless Becky asks for a trade to Monday Night Raw, and they're not going to do that. Becky's only opportunity is to win the Royal Rumble, and she can't win the Royal Rumble as SmackDown Live Women's Champion. Unless they do the match at the Royal Rumble, which would be fucking absolutely idiotic. And I would shit all over WWE Creative more than I have ever if they fast track this match and don't do it at WrestleMania. So I don't understand WWE, taking the title of Becky Lynch being a bad thing. Like Dave Scherer says of PW Insider. So what? Take the title off of her as long as she is not pinned. Becky cannot lose. Becky shouldn't be pinned. Becky shouldn't be tapping out. Becky shouldn't be passing out. No. Becky from here on out should be treated as a Roman Reigns-like character. Untouchable. Untouchable. This is the woman everybody wants to see right now. Everybody's just desires is to see Becky and Ronda at WrestleMania. She is the most must-see act in all of WWE, that is including the men. And I mentioned this yesterday on the podcast too. WWE wanted someone to replace Roman Reigns. Man, Becky Lynch made a real fucking charge to take that spot. You talk about someone grabbing the brass ring? Becky took all them motherfuckers down and she said, fuck your brass ring. I'm coming for Roman and his spot. This woman is the most must-see act. Becky is the best thing on television in the last decade right now. That's where she's going with this. And at the end of all this hoped storyline that I hope WWE continues to do going into WrestleMania, Becky's legacy is going to be that of Charlotte's when this is all over. You talk about Charlotte being the queen. When Becky beats Ronda at WrestleMania and stamps her fucking legacy, she's going to be at the same level as when everybody talks about Charlotte's legacy. That's what this storyline means to WWE. That's what they have with this storyline. And from that, you think that's a conclusion? Nah, man. The horsewomen shit is going to continue on after that, and we're going to get another chapter to the legacy. WWE doesn't know what they have with this storyline. They have the opportunity to tell the best women's storyline that this company has ever seen. WWE has an opportunity to really step out of this fucking shadow that they're in with shit women's wrestling and them not really caring about it like they say they do. Moving away from these divas and this fucking reality TV garbage. WWE has an opportunity to step out of the shadows and give me a fucking evolution. They have to do what they have to do. There's no way around it. There's no prolonging it. There's no speeding it up. It's booking itself. Let this storyline take you to where it needs to be. WrestleMania is where it should end. The first chapter ends at WrestleMania. That is Rousey and Becky Lynch. Then you get on to doing the horsewomen at SummerSlam or at Survivor Series. You thought 2018 was a big year for women's wrestling. It really wasn't. It really wasn't. Becky Lynch single-handedly is making women's wrestling important. When everything in that fucking division is dead, Becky Lynch is rising above, pretty much commanding your attention. There's no way. You can't look there, you can't look there. You're looking straight ahead at Becky Lynch. She is the reason why we all care about women's wrestling right now. Women's wrestling is going to get better and better and better as the months go on if WWE just sticks to the plan. It all starts at the Survivor Series. Becky is not there. Charlotte against Rousey is the start. Shayna getting plugged into that 5th spot. Shayna going to SmackDown Live. Shayna maybe helping Rousey beat Charlotte. WWE doesn't want to tap Charlotte out to Ronda Rousey. I don't think WWE wants Charlotte to lose in a commanding way like Rousey beat everybody else. This is the first legit wrestler that Rousey's been in the ring with. There needs to be a fuck finish. Shayna is the key. Shayna Baszler is the key. If they follow it step by step on Sunday night, like I laid out for you here, we could seriously be on our way to the greatest women's storyline of the modern era. And I hope that WWE realizes this. And then after that, there's nothing wrong with taking the title off of Becky Lynch. I am 100% in favor of Becky being stripped of the title. If you don't think them stripping the title off of Becky Lynch is going to make her even bigger than she is now, wait for people and the reaction that they're going to give Becky Lynch when she has that title taken from her and she wins the fucking Royal Rumble, man. You thought Daniel Bryan winning the Royal Rumble or wanting Daniel Bryan to win the Royal Rumble in 2014 was a big deal. Wait till Becky is in that Royal Rumble and everybody is just fucking hoping that Becky wins that match. This is great storytelling. Now, I know that doesn't exist on WWE television, especially this year, but this is it. It is writing itself. Strip her of the title. Watch what happens in the end when you take that title off of Becky Lynch. There's nothing wrong with her being stripped as long as she doesn't lose. You cannot have her lose. Any loss with Becky Lynch right now is harmful to everything. You need to have her built up at maximum strength, man. She needs to be fucking Super Saiyan. I don't even watch Dragon Ball Z. Super Saiyan-like against Ronda Rousey. They got to be both at the same level. If you have one here and then one here, it's not going to work. You're not going to maximize that. They got to be at fucking mythical proportions. Both of them. Please. This is a plead for everyone in WWE to listen to what I'm telling you, man. It is fucking perfect. Absolutely perfect. That's what I do anyway. But we'll see what happens, man. WWE was considering taking the title off Becky Lynch. To some, that was a right thing to do. Others don't want to hear it. I'm telling you that it needs to be done. This is episode 248, part number 2. We're going to get into more. We got more Survivor Series news, man. Daniel Bryan, is he being punished at Survivor Series with his match against Brock Lesnar? Also, Braun Strowman now reportedly not booked for a major WrestleMania match, and WWE has legit concerns about clearing Alexa Bliss to compete on Monday Night Raw. All this plus so much more right here on episode 248. This is part number 2 of Off the Script for your TakeOver Saturday Survivor Series weekend. Don't go anywhere. We'll hit the intro, and I'll be right back. Off this shitty fucking product by coming on here and speaking the fucking goddamn truth about this fucking filth.
And I can book a better show taking a fucking dump after eating my fucking Chipotle chorizo with extra cheese.
I don't give a fuck what anybody has to say. Have I ever? Of course not.
WWE's great, man. Fuck you, Japan, and Okada. Delete! What is it, man? Can I suck your dick? What is it, man?
And this is the #1 fucking podcast.
Right here on YouTube.com!
This is Off the Script. Thank you guys so much for joining me, man. This episode 248, part number 2 for your Survivor Series weekend here on Off the Script. If you guys missed anything on part 1, man, 2 hours plus. I think I clocked in at 2 hours and 1 minute on Off the Script for Friday, man. We literally went over everything Survivor Series, whether it's Daniel Bryan, Becky Lynch, the preview of the entire show, predictions for Survivor Series, predictions for TakeOver War Games, everything consumed in that one video, man. So make sure you guys go and check that out. If you have not done so already, I will leave you all the link in the annotation that you see in the top right corner of your screen with the Raw, SmackDown, and NXT reviews as well from this week, plus anything else that you might have missed video game-wise is there as well, man. So please go check that stuff out. I would really, really appreciate your support on that if you did not get the notification for Off the Script on Friday. Please make sure you guys follow me on social media, man. This weekend is going to be big. I will be all over Twitter, whether it's tweeting live during TakeOver and Survivor Series, or if you guys just need notifications for when one of my many videos this weekend will go live on the channel. Twitter is the best way to figure out what's going on with all that, man. At JD from NY206. If you guys are on Twitter and you're not following me, please do so. If you guys don't have a Twitter account, I would recommend you guys create one. Not only is it a great way to see what I'm thinking while these shows are happening minute by minute, match by match, but it's also a great way to keep yourself notified of when I upload on the channel, because it gets directly pushed to Twitter, man. So I would urge you guys to go create an account if you have not done so. And if you guys are on Twitter, at JD from NY206. We are nearing 24,000 followers on Twitter. Hit that subscribe button down below, man, and give that bell the fucking middle finger, because it never fucking works. But do it anyway, man. Hit that subscribe button and become one of the 101,000 subscribers, man. And if you guys want to support through the Patreon page, patreon.com/JD from NY206. Great way to support the show through the Patreon page, man. And I want to shout out Louis D. Louis D, bro, pledging $5 as of today. You fucking beast. Also, John Bonney, and we got Jesse Stryker, man. Thank you guys so much for the pledges. Jesse with the $10 pledge, John with the $15 pledge, and Louis D. What's the D stand for, bruh? $5 pledge there by Louis, man. Thank you guys so very much for your support on the Patreon page. I also want to shout out my friends over at Harry's, man. I actually missed a care package from Harry's as of yesterday. I got to go to the post office right after this is done to go pick it up, man. I think they sent me the holiday gift set, and if they did, I'm going to show it off right here next week. So make sure you guys go to harrys.com/script. That is our unique URL, man. That is for off-the-script listeners only. You're going to get a free trial shave set. As you guys see there, 3 different colors. You got the evergreen, you got the orange, and you got the navy blue. I got all 3 of them motherfuckers, man. Believe me. With the free trial, you're going to get one of those colors. You can choose. You do have the option to choose your color. You're going to get a razor blade. You're going to get a 2-ounce bottle of the foaming shave gel, which soothes, hydrates, and it smells fantastic. And you're going to get a travel case for your blade as well. If you guys like to be on the road, or if you just want to protect your blade from anything, you guys got a protective case for your blade as well, man. That is a almost $20 value, and you're getting it for free. All you guys have to do is pay the shipping and handling. Harrys.com/script. And believe me, man, I never use anything that I don't believe in. I would never turn it around and try and sell you guys something that I know you won't use. And I'll never put my name to something that I don't believe in. Harry's is all of that. Harry's is definitely all of that, man. And believe me, when you have a shave, your first shave with Harry's, you're not going to look back. You're not going to remember what you used to use. You're only going to look forward, and your shaving needs are going to be fulfilled with Harry's, man. Believe me. Harrys.com/script. They're also running a holiday gift set this year. A $25 and $35 gift set, which you guys can get $5 off using our unique link, Harrys.com/script, man. So please go and check Harry's out. They are doing big things this holiday season. Makes a great gift for your father, for your girlfriend's folks, you know, or just yourself if you guys need anything for yourself. Give yourself a Harry's gift set if you guys have not redeemed that free trial. Also, man, Barbershop Window, go get your t-shirts. We got the big Black Friday sale coming up next week. Barbershopwindow.com/off-the-script, code BSHOP20 for 20% off every single order that you order on Barbershop Window. Everything you buy, you guys can use that code for 20% off. There is 18. That is right, man. 18 different designs right now on the store. And we have the best looking t-shirts in the podcast game, in the YouTube community, man. This is no cheap shit. This is not done on Photoshop, or this is not done with fucking Microsoft Word, or one of those fucking lame looking t-shirts that are, you know, concocted in 3 minutes. This is professionally done work here, man. Barbershopwindow.com/off-the-script. Code BSHOP20. Get your t-shirt. And I know a lot of you guys were waiting on your 100,000 subscriber t-shirts, man. And a bunch of you guys tweeted me yesterday. I retweeted and liked whatever I could. This is the design, man. It absolutely looks beautiful on a t-shirt. So thank you guys to whoever tweeted me or Instagram me. You guys are beasts, man. That is the new 100,000 subscriber commemorative design, man. We are celebrating 100K with this design. You can get it exclusively on barbershopwindow.com, man. Thank you guys so very much for all of that. Let's hit the news. The two big things coming out of the Survivor Series, man, or going into the Survivor Series, and I'm assuming coming out of the Survivor Series when Sunday is over with, Becky Lynch, which we talked about, and the other is Daniel Bryan. Now, I mentioned literally every aspect of why Daniel Bryan was given the WWE Championship when Vince McMahon came up with the plan to give Daniel Bryan the WWE Championship and unceremoniously end AJ Styles' title reign. And I booked Daniel Bryan going into WrestleMania. I booked Daniel Bryan from here on out after Survivor Series, probably a match with AJ Styles at TLC in some sort of gimmick match. And I booked the Universal Championship going forward as well, going into WrestleMania. And the rumor right now is AJ might not be having the match with Lesnar now, but the plans right now are for AJ and Brock at WrestleMania, which make complete sense because we know Vince wants AJ on Raw. And I mentioned the wild card, which nobody really is talking about because they're all under the assumption, well, Kenny's not going to come to the WWE. Kenny don't want to be here. It's best if he stays away, etc., etc. Kenny's 35 years old. And if Kenny is getting fucking 7 figures from WWE just based on salary alone, and the number one spot on Monday Night Raw, and a feud for the Universal Championship, if AJ wins the Universal Championship from Brock Lesnar, wins the Royal Rumble, goes to Raw, and is their champion, I think that's a pretty enticing deal for Kenny to come over to the WWE and be positioned in the number one program for the entire year on Monday Night Raw with AJ Styles. I don't know, man. It's a possibility. I'm not putting too much hope or stock into that. But with AJ and Brock rumored at WrestleMania, it's certainly not out of the discussion yet. So I'm just letting you guys know. So what does this mean for Daniel Bryan? Now that Daniel Bryan is the WWE Champion, is he being punished in his match with Brock Lesnar? Punished for what, you might ask? Well, he refused to go to Saudi Arabia and compete at Crown Jewel. Is WWE that petty to punish Daniel Bryan with their history on him with concussions and neck issues and all that stuff? Will they be that petty? Or are they that petty to put Daniel Bryan in a match with someone who is fucking stiff and who could realistically end his career with one move? And what does it mean for his title reign? I mean, Daniel Bryan just won the championship from AJ Styles in a great match on SmackDown Live. What a shit way to start your title reign off by getting squashed by Brock Lesnar. Is Daniel Bryan being punished? Well, Dave Scherer speculated on PW Insider Audio where there could be some resentment left over from Bryan declining to work Crown Jewel. Although it's a far-fetched idea, it might be something to keep in the back of your head. Now, I don't want to put too much stock in him being punished by WWE because it was Vince McMahon who decided to give Bryan the championship. And Vince McMahon, who was open enough to listen to what Bryan wanted to do as far as his character goes. Bryan wanted to turn heel. Vince okayed it. So there must be some sort of stock in Daniel Bryan if Vince is willing to work with Daniel Bryan on what needs to be done for his character moving forward. So I don't know. I don't want to put too much stock in this, but this is usually how WWE operates. It was speculated that WWE might have found themselves with a match that they didn't want to do in AJ Styles and Brock Lesnar because Styles would most likely have to lose again. So WWE came up with another idea. Daniel Bryan. So instead of not wanting AJ to lose to Brock Lesnar, WWE, what they're saying is we don't want AJ to lose, but we're okay with Bryan losing. So they gave him the championship, and they're going to have him lose to Brock Lesnar in God knows how many minutes, and in what context. So it might not be directly stating that Bryan is being punished, but it's definitely indirectly mentioning that Bryan is being punished. WWE might not be thinking it, but indirectly, they're punishing Daniel Bryan. How did they get out of that, says Scherer? Putting a guy with head issues, brain issues, concussions in the ring with a guy that really tends to stiff people. So if you're really wondering what the receipt will be for Daniel Bryan not going to Saudi Arabia And I'm saying this jokingly. It's getting in the ring with this guy after all this just happened. Now, that's the bottom line. That's what we're seeing here. So, Scherer was trying his best to be humorous, but you never know what ideas could really be floating around in the mind of Vince McMahon or in the WWE. After all, he's not the first to speculate this, as others on wrestling Twitter did the same. Hopefully, Daniel Bryan won't be injured in his Survivor Series match against Brock Lesnar. Now, it's also important to remember that this match was, and I mentioned this several times, this was the match that was supposed to take place at SummerSlam 2014, but Bryan was hurt, John Cena filled in, and he was squashed by Brock Lesnar, which anybody that was thrown in Lesnar's path in that year, no matter if it was Cena, Bryan, it could have been anybody. They were doomed. Because they gave Lesnar the streak, and there was no way that Lesnar was not going to win the championship after beating The Undertaker at WrestleMania 30 and being the one to finally end that WrestleMania streak. Anybody that was thrown in his path was going to be devoured. So it doesn't really matter. That was the match that was supposed to be at SummerSlam. It probably would have been a better match than what we're going to get on Sunday because Bryan was so much more over, and Bryan had this mythical-like feel to him with the Yes movement, you know, coming just in and being the underdog and fighting against all the odds. That would have been the biggest mountain that he had to climb. He beat the Authority. He toppled the Authority single-handedly. He beat Evolution in one night. He beat Triple H in the opening match. He beat Randy Orton. He beat Batista. They put him over big time. This would have been the biggest mountain for him to climb, man. So having Daniel Bryan overcome all those odds and seeing him built up in a huge way to go against Brock Lesnar and hoping to topple the beast would have been a great fucking story to tell in 2014. We're not going to get that same story here. Because Bryan's not the same way he was 4 years ago. And Bryan is a heel. Those things are working against him right now. So it's important to remember that this match was supposed to be the match that Bryan had following his WrestleMania 30 title win. Lesnar was supposed to destroy Bryan at SummerSlam, only Daniel had to retire, so John Cena took his place and ate 16 German suplexes for that match. So the fact that winning the WWE Championship and getting a match against Brock Lesnar is a great thing for anyone also plays into the reason why this is likely a bold creative change and no form of punishment. But people are thinking it. People are talking about it, and you know, it's indirectly being that. They might not come outward and say it. I mean, they probably wouldn't ever, but people are thinking. And people, it's easy to just align the pieces and figure out the puzzle. But according to Wrestling Observer Newsletter, Bryan, this is the interesting part, which nobody's really talking about either. You know, what does Bryan do at WrestleMania? This heel turn seemingly changed WrestleMania plans for not only Bryan, but they changed WrestleMania plans for Shane McMahon. And it makes everything that Shane McMahon did right now pretty much fucking useless. The World Cup, meaningless. It was meaningless then when he won it, and now it's completely fucking an afterthought. But according to the Wrestling Observer Newsletter, Bryan was slated to face Shane McMahon in New Jersey at WrestleMania. So it was supposed to be a heel Shane McMahon against a babyface Daniel Bryan. That was one of the plans. Or I guess that was the plan for Shane McMahon. Shane's slow heel turn that started at Crown Jewel is reportedly now off, being that Bryan is now a bad guy, and that was meant to be the long-term direction of Shane winning the World Cup. The narrative of the story would have probably centered around the tensions that they had at the end of their run as authority figures on SmackDown Live before Bryan became an active wrestler once again. Regarding the top matches at WrestleMania 35, the only match that appears to be somewhat on the table right now, and even that, WWE could probably change at any given moment. I'm hoping that we don't see a change. I'm sure you guys don't want to see a change either. Is Rousey versus Becky Lynch. That is the only match right now seemingly on the table, written in pencil. It could be erased. We don't know yet. So that's the only match right now on the table for WrestleMania. Something that Rousey and McMahon, I reported yesterday in the Survivor Series preview, both something Rousey and McMahon agreed on collectively this week. Triple H facing Batista probably won't happen. Batista will probably go one-on-one with Randy Orton. Bryan versus Shane was also supposed to happen. That's not going to happen now, being that Bryan is a heel. Rousey taking on Charlotte was the planned match. Now it's Rousey versus Becky being the planned match. Creative changes up and down that have altered WrestleMania. And I mentioned this in yesterday's show. We booked somewhat of WrestleMania's card. I'm going with AJ versus Brock because everybody's talking about Dwayne Johnson being at WrestleMania. I don't think that's going to happen. If he's going to be at WrestleMania, it's going to be in a regular role. It's not going to be in a wrestling role. Because I think he's going to be completely swamped with movies going into the spring and summer months. So I don't think he's going to be wrestling at all. And you know, with him, wrestling is a big insurance liability. Brock versus AJ makes sense with AJ winning the title going to Raw, because we all know Vince wants AJ on Raw. Or they could simply do a shakeup, which I think is even needed. It's also needed. Or they could do that and not do the match with AJ. But AJ versus Brock for the Universal Championship with AJ winning the Royal Rumble. We got Becky versus Ronda. We got Charlotte versus Shayna. So that's the women's championship matches at WrestleMania. We have The Undertaker retiring in a match against Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels coming out of retirement to retire The Undertaker. That's what I want to see. I'm hearing rumors of John Cena versus The Undertaker again. No fucking way am I interested in seeing that match at all. Batista versus Randy Orton. And then we might have Seth versus Dean for the Intercontinental Championship. And those could be your big matches going into WrestleMania this year. So, obviously, anything could happen. Anything can change. You know, Bryan is a difficult one to really book. You could put him against... There's not really many baby faces on Monday, on SmackDown, on Tuesday. There's AJ Styles and there's Jeff Hardy, but that's about it. And Rey Mysterio. So, out of those guys going into WrestleMania, who's going to be the one to take on Daniel Bryan? I don't want The Miz to turn babyface to challenge Daniel Bryan. I don't want the roles to be reversed. I want The Miz to be a heel because he operates better as a heel. There's some people who just need to be a heel. I can't see The Miz being a babyface this late in his run. They did it with Bryan. They could put him against Mysterio. That's a first-time ever matchup on SmackDown Live. And that would be a great match. I think that would be a dream match of sorts. A babyface Rey Mysterio versus a heel Daniel Bryan. That could work. You know, so we'll see what happens. But WrestleMania right now, you could kind of speculate on where they're going, but it's always a toss-up. But I don't know how they're going to book Daniel Bryan. That's the only thing right now, especially with this Shane McMahon news that he was supposed to fight Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania. I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know what they're going to do. I wouldn't even put Shane McMahon in a match at WrestleMania, to be perfectly honest with you. They still might do that, and they just might keep Shane as a babyface. Shane, this storyline or this match could still realistically happen, but Shane turning heel is just off the table, and they'd rather go with Daniel Bryan because it helps his character. It would do nothing for Shane. So maybe Shane goes into this still being the World Cup guy, and they kind of put that to rest and don't really build off that. But instead, Shane maybe questions Daniel Bryan's attitude and this newfound heel turn. And they get into it, and Bryan's not having any of it, and they get a match out of it at WrestleMania. But Shane and Bryan ain't going to be for the WWE title. I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do whatsoever. So we have to see what happens. It's very interesting, man. And I mentioned this several times. Unpredictability is the best thing about being a pro wrestling fan. You don't know what's going on. They could go any which way. It's going to be interesting to see what happens. Speaking of WrestleMania, Braun Strowman, according to Dave Meltzer and Wrestling Observer, now reportedly is not booked for a major WrestleMania match. Dave Meltzer discussed on Wrestling Observer Radio that with such a short time frame to work, considering Lesnar's limited schedule, it could be difficult to squeeze a Braun Strowman Universal title match in. This is especially difficult seeing how he was told that Lesnar vs. Strowman is not the plan for WrestleMania. He says, and I quote, "The one thing that I've been told, and of course this is always subject to change, but I was told directly that Braun Strowman versus Brock Lesnar was not going to happen at WrestleMania." So that could mean that Strowman wins the championship before WrestleMania. Could mean a lot of different things. But that leads me to believe that since they directly brought up Braun Strowman challenging, that means it's not something they're doing 6 months down the line. It seems like that's something that they're going to do for the next big one, meaning the Royal Rumble, possibly. Right now, Lesnar's not booked for San Jose for the TLC pay-per-view. The one after is the January pay-per-view, which we all know is the Royal Rumble. So that's what it feels like to me. From there, who knows? Listen, If Lesnar and Strowman is going to happen again, and you are booking Brock Lesnar as the Universal Champion going into WrestleMania, that only means that Strowman is going to lose again. Again. I am over the fact of Braun Strowman getting another Universal Championship match. It is leading to that based on the happenings at Crown Jewel with Baron Corbin. And Baron Corbin and Braun Strowman will probably get some sort of gimmick match at TLC. And then Strowman will take care of Corbin and move on to Brock Lesnar. But Brock Lesnar dropping the title to Braun Strowman is not going to make WrestleMania that much better. I would rather Lesnar be the champion going into WrestleMania again instead of Braun Strowman. You're going to get a better match out of it. Who does Strowman fight at WrestleMania for the Universal Championship? It's got to be Drew McIntyre at that point. And what are you going to do there? You're going to have Strowman go in as champion and drop the title at WrestleMania to Drew McIntyre? I thought this was Strowman's year. I thought this was Strowman's big moment. There is no more big moments for Braun Strowman on Monday Night Raw. Monday Night Raw 2019, just from the vibe I'm getting, is going to have a very different feel. You know, he may be at the top right now or near the top, but when things change in 2019, Strowman is going to take a few steps down the ladder. This is why I stated that Strowman moving over to SmackDown is probably better for him and better creatively for him. They could build him back up over there and get him in a WWE Championship picture. Because Monday Night Raw, I feel, is going to have a vastly different look after WrestleMania. And I want to throw this. I want to throw this into the Bryan situation because now I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about call-ups. Got a bunch of things running through my head. What if, pertaining to Daniel Bryan, Bryan doesn't have any match at WrestleMania. What if Aleister Black gets called up to SmackDown Live and he challenges Daniel Bryan for the WWE Championship at WrestleMania? What if? What if he gets called up after Survivor Series? There's nothing for him to do in NXT after he loses to Johnny Gargano. Where's he going to... He's got one more match with Ciampa, and that's it. Maybe he enters the Royal Rumble. Maybe we see him in the Royal Rumble. Maybe he enters the Elimination Chamber. I don't know. Very interesting, man. I'd love to see Daniel Bryan versus Aleister Black. And if there's any similarities to someone, Daniel Bryan is going the Johnny Gargano light route. Somewhat like what Johnny Gargano was doing. Sometimes the good guy has to cheat or do something bad to get ahead. You know, he's got to force the hand. That's what Johnny's been doing. Hey, I'm a good guy. I just did what I had to do. Now, I don't know how that's going to translate tonight. TakeOver, I'm sure Johnny's going to get fucking booed out of the building. But that's great. Playing a character as a bad guy, still thinking that I didn't do nothing wrong. That's going to irk the shit out of people. So Aleister Black is facing Johnny with that type of mentality tonight. What if he gets called up to the main roster and has to deal with Daniel Bryan in the same way? You know? That could pretty much write itself as well. Now, I dealt with guys like you down in NXT. Someone who actually looks up to you in Johnny Gargano. I hate this type of attitude. You know? It could fit easy. And WWE could certainly be creative with that if they want to do that. Instead of doing Shane McMahon, at least he keeps the title on Daniel Bryan and you get Aleister Black on SmackDown Live. I think that'd be a great move, you know? Especially with AJ probably moving to Monday Night Raw, you're gonna need another big name to fill that void. I think Aleister Black fits into that fucking perfectly. So we'll see what happens, man. But Strowman, nah, man, I'm done with Strowman being the Universal Champion. I think honestly, giving Strowman the Universal Championship is going to handcuff WWE more so in terms of where they go storyline-wise. The title will be on Monday Night Raw. That's great. The title's going to be on a full-time guy. But there's more concern with Braun Strowman now as to who he fights. Is it going to be good enough? Is he the guy? Is he going to remain healthy? How injured is he really? Being that he's got rumored 2 blown knees by Meltzer. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. So we got Braun Strowman and Brock Lesnar possibly happening at the Royal Rumble, but me personally, I am over it. And I think there's a better sense of creativity if you just have Lesnar take the championship into WrestleMania and go the AJ route or another route. If you want to do the Drew McIntyre route, I'd rather Drew beat Lesnar for the championship. Like, Strowman has seen his day. Strowman has been ruined to a point where I think putting the Universal Championship on him right now is not going to do any good for Monday Night Raw. So just do the McIntyre route or the Styles route, and Strowman, move him over to SmackDown Live. If there's a draft or a shakeup, Strowman needs to move to SmackDown Live. Speaking of injuries, man, we mentioned Strowman's blown knees. WWE has legitimate concern about clearing Alexa Bliss to compete on Monday Night Raw. Mike Johnson went on to discuss her situation more thoroughly on PW Insider Elite this week. It looks like WWE isn't going to rush her back to the ring anytime soon because there is legitimate concern about clearing her for a return. Now, he says, and I quote, "There is concern about her physically. She's had a number of concussions. They feel that there have been so many in too short a time, and she's not going to be back in the ring anytime soon. They're going to put her back in the ring until she's medically cleared." Or they're not going to put her back in the ring until she's medically cleared. If that means 2 weeks, 2 years, 6 months, I don't know. But what I'm told, that pretty much that they are going to find things for her to do and include her in the mix without having her to take any physical punishment because they want her to be careful and they want her to be cautious with her health. So the story that's been set is for good right now. I haven't confirmed that yet, speaking to anybody, but there is certainly at least a legitimate concern that she's not going to be back anytime soon in a physical role. That can change with one medical appointment, but as we saw with Daniel Bryan in the past, it could be an extended time that she's going to be out, and we'll have to wait and see. End quote. Bliss did send out a meme recently with a message that she will be back. She posted like a Terminator gif saying, "I'll be back." So only time will tell how long she will really be out. WWE needs to get comfortable, putting her back in the ring and getting her back to action. Hopefully it will, be sooner rather than later, and she will be involved in storylines. So I don't know why people are so concerned with Alexa being in the ring. She really didn't add much in that aspect anyway. Like, I don't want to see her career shortened. I don't want to see her, injured to a point where she can't wrestle anymore. She is money. Alexa is money. She's more money in other areas, outside of her being in the ring. So if she's on TV, if they put her in an authority figure role, if they make her like, I think, Baron Corbin's assistant, with that substitute teacher vibe that she's got coming out to Monday Night Raw, they could transition her into that role. They got to make sense of it. You're not going to take a full-time performer and put her in a I guess a GM assistant role without any explanation. But Alexa Bliss adds more on the mic than she does in the ring. So having her, away from the division is not really going to be a backbreaker for the division. The division already sucks. Having Alexa Bliss in it wasn't really doing any good anyway. So having Alexa Bliss out of it, there's no harm done. The division is awful. They're not really doing anything creative-wise with the division anyway. So Alexa adds nothing to the division, and she being out of it in a wrestling capacity is not taking anything away from it. So I just don't want her to be hurt. There is value in Alexa Bliss. And I don't really like the fact that WWE made her a team captain. She really didn't do anything this year that would warrant a fucking team captain situation. So Alexa Bliss right now, going to be out for an extended period of time. So we'll see what happens. I don't know. She did comment on retirement rumors as well. Bliss said, "I'm not going anywhere." So people were tweeting out that she's got all these concussions and these head issues, that she's going to retire at 27 years old. It flooded the internet wrestling community. She came out and said, "Listen, I'm not going anywhere." She posted a video on her Twitter, getting back into the gym, doing light training. She'll be fine. It's WWE following their concussion protocol. They do it with everybody. So they're doing it with Alexa Bliss right now. And being that Alexa Bliss is one of the more popular female athletes on the roster, people are concerned. So they're just showing their concern. And Alexa Bliss came out and said, "Listen, I'm not going anywhere. I'll be back." So hopefully that quieted those rumors as well. Paige. Speaking of retirement, Paige is no longer an active competitor for the WWE, but there was a report going around that she deaded. She came out and said this is a fake report. But apparently, there was a report from PW Insider Elite stating that Paige could reportedly wrestle tomorrow, but WWE will not allow it at this time. So this came from Mike Johnson of PW Insider Elite, saying that Paige could actually wrestle tomorrow. Not literally tomorrow, but he means that if WWE wanted her next week, they could put her in the ring and she'd be good to go. That she could actually wrestle tomorrow if she wanted to, but WWE has just decided not to let her. However, there is good news for Paige because WWE loves her performance in the current role that she's in right now as SmackDown GM. He says, and I quote Mike Johnson, "She could wrestle tomorrow. She could take a bump tomorrow. WWE's not going to let her take that bump. WWE made the decision to medically disqualify her after the issue last year at the WWE Live event at Nassau Coliseum where Sasha Banks kicked her and she went down and kind of lost feelings in her extremities. WWE felt like that was the best thing to do and keep her out of a physical active role. That doesn't mean she's never going to take a bump again or she's not going to wrestle again. WWE were the ones who pulled her. My original headline on PW Insider states, and I quote, WWE pulls Paige as in-ring performer because that was the truth. She could go if she felt WWE, didn't want her to wrestle. She could go wrestle for Impact or anywhere else. I don't know if that would be the best decision for her health long term, but she could choose to do that. WWE management and WWE's medical team were the ones who made that decision to remove her. As to if she has looked into ways of getting back, getting better, or getting cleared, it's possible. No one has specifically told me that. I don't know of any meetings that she's had with WWE management where she's pushed the idea of getting back in the ring. End quote. Now, Paige has stated herself that she has tried and she will continue to try and get back in the ring. Johnson continued to note that WWE likes Paige in her SmackDown general manager role, and she's taking direction very well, and they like the fact that she's been able to evolve in her role. He also said that this role might have even explained or expanded Paige's lifespan in WWE when it comes to how long her initial career trajectory was taking her. So don't feel bad about Paige because as much as she might love wrestling and miss wrestling, she's doing quite all right on SmackDown Live as GM and could apparently stick around in more ways than one for a very long time. But being cleared by WWE probably isn't likely, seeing how she suffered a neck injury and not a concussion-related injury like Daniel Bryan. There is always hope. People have mentioned that her injury is similar to Edge. So if Edge is not going to get back in the ring, and WWE would have never allowed Edge to get back in the ring, I think she needs to look to that as somewhat of a telling story. She don't want to risk her life. She don't want to be stuck to a wheelchair. In worst case, kill herself. We don't want any of that stuff. God forbid any of that stuff to happen. If she decides to leave WWE, goes to an Impact or goes to a Ring of Honor and competes on the Indies, she's got to really take her life as top priority now. If WWE is not allowing you to wrestle, then I would listen to them. Because this isn't a Daniel Bryan situation. Now, you could look at Nikki Bella. Nikki Bella had neck injuries. WWE made a big deal about Nikki Bella's neck injuries. And they let her back in the ring. And she is factoring into major storylines in 2018. She had a match with Ronda Rousey. She turned heel. So I don't know the extremities of, or the extreme nature of Nikki Bella's injury. But, I'm not sure if her injury and Paige's injury is the same thing. But I do know that Edge has the same injury that Paige has, and he's not allowed back in the ring. And I would love to see Edge back in the WWE ring, and that's not going to happen. And right now, as far as Paige in the ring, in a wrestling capacity, I'm kind of over it. There's just so much more budding talent in WWE that I want to see evolve in the women's division. Having Paige back in the ring is not something that would interest me. It would be interesting for about a couple of weeks, and then it would die down. And then she would be like everybody else. I honestly think Paige right now is actually in a better situation. Seeing her in her role as SmackDown GM, I feel like she has more of an important role now than if she was wrestling in the women's division. I honestly feel like Paige would be treated just like everybody else. She wouldn't be made to feel special. And I honestly don't think right now that any other woman is going to factor into anything, with Ronda Rousey and the horsewomen situation probably going to take center stage in 2019. I think Paige right now, probably career-wise, is better off in her role as SmackDown GM. She has an important feel to her, whereas if she went back into the ring, I don't think WWE would make her feel important. That's just the way I see it. So let me know what you guys think about that. She actually came out and said that this was a bullshit report, but WWE superstars tend to do that. They usually tend to shit on the dirt sheets. Oh, don't read fake news, or, this is all fabricated garbage. Listen, Paige has said it herself that she's continuing to try and see what could be done with her getting back in the ring. Clearly, she's going to make strides to hopefully have that happen sometime. But right now, I feel like her best role is as GM on SmackDown Live. Ronda Rousey. I mentioned this on the week's reviews, Raw and SmackDown. Ronda Rousey says she didn't need to win a title in WWE, and she referenced Roddy Piper. So she went on to say in a podcast interview that she conducted with PWI that she would be a WWE superstar that didn't need a championship to feel important. So the topic shifted when they mentioned the Raw Women's title. And Rousey became very adamant about the fact that since her hero, Roddy Piper, didn't need a title, neither did she. So she goes on to say, and I quote, "Honestly, I was extremely surprised because I was reserved to thinking like, I would like to never win the title. Like, I don't need it. I don't need it." Ronda said that Roddy Piper didn't need it, so I would have been cool by playing that type of character. I was totally cool with it. But yeah, a lot of these decisions are not up to me. And if the company thinks that I'm, used, and I'm used in my best capacity as their champion right now, then I will do that job as great as I can as long as they need me to do it. End quote. So I like Ronda's mentality. I like that she came in thinking, I'm Ronda Rousey. I'm going to be perfectly fine because I'm Ronda Rousey. I don't need the championship. But WWE's initiative called for Ronda, spotlighted with the championship because they want to push the evolution of women's wrestling. And, instead of going with somebody who was born and bred in the PC, they want the Sports Center highlights. They want the mainstream notoriety. They want everything that comes along with Ronda Rousey being in the WWE. So they figured, let's put the championship on her. I love her mentality of her thinking, I'm big enough. I don't need the championship. And I mentioned this. Rousey, a lot of people agree with me on this. There's some bad seeds that don't really know what the fuck they're talking about, but I've mentioned this several times. I feel like Ronda handcuffs the division by holding the championship because there's literally nothing else for those women to fight for. And not many of them are going to get to a Ronda Rousey level. Most of them will never get an opportunity to be in the ring with Ronda Rousey. And if they do get in the ring with Ronda Rousey, there's only one outcome. Rousey has to win. Because Rousey, by name, legitimizes that division. And you've taken an MMA fighter and put her in a pro wrestling capacity, and you have to book someone like that with extreme care. This is why people are so frustrated with Brock Lesnar. Talent right now is getting frustrated over the fact that Lesnar is bulletproof. He is untouchable. There's no way around booking Brock Lesnar but beating everybody and throwing everybody in Brock Lesnar's path and having them lose. Lesnar right now is bulletproof. And WWE made Brock Lesnar bulletproof because they continue to push him as this legit two-sport athlete who still gets his feet wet in MMA, and he can't look weak by losing to a pro wrestler when he's going to go fight in the UFC. Now, Ronda doesn't have that issue, but Ronda is the biggest women's athlete in the world. Ronda is a legit fighter. You call yourself the baddest bitch on the planet, you're not going to go in the ring and lose to Alexa Bliss or a Mickie James or an Alicia Fox. You can't do it. You got to book these women with care. They're going to get preferential treatment over everybody else that's been doing this, coming up from NXT. It's just the way of the business. It's just the way of the character. So I don't understand why people think that Rousey with the championship is a good thing. Now, it's looking like it's a good thing now because of what's happening with Becky. And if we get Becky to a point where she's on the same level as Ronda, and it looks like they're doing that, then great. But not everybody gets an opportunity like Becky's getting right now. But I've always been the one to say that Ronda doesn't need the championship. I would rather the championship be contested with the women on that roster who can actually fucking wrestle and not give the title to someone just based on their name value alone. I hate that. And I love Ronda's mentality that she's thinking the same way. So that was that. And putting the title on Ronda Rousey because of her high profile and the fact that she can be promoted as their Raw Women's Champion when she's out and doing other media engagements and projects is a great thing for WWE. I know why they did it. I'm not a dummy. After all, it's mostly a public relations game at this point. And Mike Johnson, hit that home. That was the point that he was trying to make. But Rousey had a point and wanted to be like Piper and never hold the title. Of course, that didn't happen, but she's done a pretty good job representing the women's division right now as its Raw Women's Champion to this point. Nia Jax, speaking of championships, Nia Jax, awful at what she does, we all know that, but Nia Jax had something very, very intelligent that she stated when she talked to Sport Bible. Apparently, it was an interview that she conducted, and she was asked about the Women's Tag Team Championships. So, she says this, and I quote, her belief is that these titles aren't needed just yet or right now, though she'd be open to teaming with Tamina when they are added. She says, and I quote, you know what? I'm probably going to get some heat for it, so I'm going to say it. I don't think it's needed anytime soon, personally. Obviously, if I were to be put in a tag division, I would want Tamina by my side. I just feel like we would be unstoppable. But I'm not someone that thinks it's needed yet. And I got to agree with Nia Jax. Now, clearly, they're setting up a team with Tamina. You could see where WWE is going with these tag teams and these alliances spread out across both brands. They are coming. We don't know when they're coming, but they are coming. So hopefully WWE knows and has a plan and knows what to do with those titles when they are unveiled. So I got to agree with Nia. I don't think they're needed yet. Because right now, we don't know how they're going to operate. We don't know if it's going to be brand specific. We don't know if it's going to rotate between the brands. We don't know. We have no idea. Knowing WWE, they'll probably give us 2 sets of women's tag team titles, and then I will completely shit all over that decision. That would be the absolute worst fucking decision that they could possibly ever make. So, I have to agree with Nia here. I don't agree with Nia on most things, but I do agree with her here. WWE, like I said, has been handing out signs. Have you guys seen on Monday Night Raw and at various pay-per-views, at multiple events as of late, including the first women's pay-per-view Evolution. We want tag team titles. This has led many to believe that the company is attempting to introduce these said titles. As of right now, Jax is the only female wrestler in the company to go against the idea of adding championships, but I think more people should be in Nia Jax's mentality, or at least think the same way as Nia Jax. This is clearly an opinion. I know a lot of people agree with me on that they're not needed. There are some people who are blind to the fact of the championship. So I'm not going to sit here and say, yeah, because everybody else agrees with it, let's do it. No, those people are fucking idiotic. They can't even book their tag teams right now on the show the right way. You're going to put fucking tag team titles in the women's division? Look at the men's tag team division on Monday Night Raw. You out of your fucking mind? Only bad will come from that. So, they will be introduced. You see it happening as the months go on with these alliances. We don't know when, but it's happening certainly in 2019. We're moving on here, man. Luke Harper injury. Apparently, Luke Harper was injured, and apparently he had surgery. So, I don't know what happened with Luke Harper. I know Eric Rowan was out, but now apparently Luke Harper is injured as well. And this is news to me. So, we had a report on Luke Harper here from PW Insider. It was reported by PW Insider and Wrestling Observer that Harper suffered a wrist injury, which required surgery. Now, while it's never a good time to be out of action, at least he was able to make it happen during a time when his tag team partner was also out with an injury. So, it looks like the reason why Harper was out, or Rowan was out, and then Harper was out at the same time was because he was suffering an injury. But nobody knew that until now. So hopefully Harper and Rowan will be able to return and get back to business without losing much of their momentum. But any extended time away from the road always damages a superstar to a certain extent. At least Harper seems to be doing well and has the same sense of humor as he carries on his recovery from surgery, and is also apparently worried that people will think he stole his young son when he takes him out into public. So Luke Harper's been photographed, and Luke Harper has been, seen backstage at Monday Night Raw and SmackDown Live, but he's been injured. He had surgery on the wrist, and I feel like WWE should be bringing back Luke Harper in some capacity, especially they got Bray Wyatt on Monday Night Raw. A reformation of the Wyatt family is a great way to get both of them back. The Bludgeon Brothers failed, and the Bludgeon Brothers aren't going to factor into anything on SmackDown Live. I think that is a dead gimmick. They didn't really go anywhere with that. There was promise and hope for it, but they fucking dropped the ball on them completely. Tag team wrestling right now on WWE television, a complete waste. So we have Luke Harper and Eric Rowan sitting idly with Bray Wyatt, and I feel if you want to include Bo Dallas in that, I've mentioned this several times, man, a new Wyatt family reformed on Monday Night Raw could be a great thing. Seriously. In a day and age right now where I want to see more factions, I think the Wyatt family on Monday Night Raw, in a face capacity, would be a great thing. And Luke Harper is definitely too talented to be wasted. So we'll see what happens with Luke Harper, and hopefully he can come back very, very, very soon. Speaking of injury, man, Jason Jordan is very optimistic about his WWE return. WWE has Jason Jordan sitting on the sidelines for a very, very long time, and nobody knows what's going to happen with Jason Jordan. So they had the storyline with Kurt Angle, as you all know, with his long-lost son being Jason Jordan, but the WWE has kept Jordan out with his particular injury for a very, very long time. Dave Meltzer actually reported on Jason Jordan in The Observer this week, saying that Jason Jordan is still having trouble with his grip, which is never a good sign, especially after a corrective neck surgery. But Jason Jordan posted a picture of himself at the beach this week on his Instagram, with good news to report that he's remaining hopeful that a WWE return could be around the corner. He stated, and I quote, "I'm ready to attack this week and make huge improvements. I've been trying to keep my eye on the prize and look at the big picture. I'm still on the road to recovery, and I'm very optimistic about getting back in the ring where I belong." End quote. After spending so many years at the WWE Performance Center and only a small amount of time on the main roster, Jordan does belong in the WWE. I think Jordan is one of the most highly underrated guys on that show and on that roster. I think Jordan back is going to be a big boost to WWE. But at this time, maybe his services are most needed backstage. They got him doing a producer role backstage right now just to keep him in the loop on things. Hopefully we will see him wrestle once again soon, but he needs to make sure that everything is in line before he returns. After all, the pro wrestling ring can be a very unforgiving place, especially if you have an injury walking in. So Jordan, remaining optimistic. Hopefully he's back on Monday Night Raw. Finally, guys, we're going to end with this one here before we get into the big stuff. Tonight, TakeOver, and then Survivor Series tomorrow. Winning team of the WWE Mixed Match Challenge to get a huge Royal Rumble advantage. I fucking hate this. I absolutely hate this prize, I guess, at the end of this meaningless fucking show. WWE has announced the winners of the Mixed Match Challenge tournament this year will receive the coveted 30th entry in the men's and women's Royal Rumble matches. So this is a pretty big deal and really makes things interesting as things wind down in the tournament. So WWE has a lot of creative decisions to do. Now, if you've been watching so far, I haven't because I don't really care. The Royal Rumble is a pretty big event, and it will need to be if they're planning to fill up a baseball stadium. Now, the Mixed Match Challenge suddenly has a greater purpose in WWE's bigger storylines. I think the final match is going to take place at TLC. But I fucking hate this decision, man. I don't want the number 30 spot going to someone who wins a meaningless fucking Facebook watch show. I mean, I watched one episode to get enough of the entire fucking program. It's a joke. It's a show that should not factor into storylines, especially a pay-per-view like the Royal Rumble. I don't want the 30th entrant given away already. I don't want to know who number 30 is when we go into the Royal Rumble. Like the entirety, what makes the Royal Rumble so great is the unpredictability of it. I don't want to know anybody coming out at any number. That's the reason why we watch The unpredictability and the unpredictable nature of the Royal Rumble. We don't know who is coming. That could be literally anybody. If I know the number 30 spot is given away already, that takes away the entire fucking surprise. Everybody loves it. Oh, who's number 30? Who's number 30? He's got the best chance of winning the entire thing. Even though statistically the number 30 isn't really the greatest. But I fucking hate that. You're aligning a garbage Facebook watch show, meaningless, and you're attaching that to the Royal Rumble? Who cares? Who cares? And if it's who I think is going to win it, we may be getting exactly what I talked about as far as WrestleMania goes. Charlotte and AJ are the favorites to win this thing. If Charlotte wins, I don't want her to win the Royal Rumble. That goes to Becky. It should go to nobody but Becky. And if AJ wins it, the rumors of him challenging Brock Lesnar could be on their way. But as far as this mixed match challenge being attached to the Royal Rumble, I fucking hate it, man. Unpredictability is what sells the Royal Rumble. Don't give that away, man. Don't align something so meaningless like this mixed match challenge. I can't even fucking say it with the Royal Rumble, man. Come on. Got to do better than that. I'm getting out of here, man. Thank you so much for all your support. We are an hour in. There will be no off the script on Sunday because I'm getting ready for Survivor Series. Survivor Series starts at 5. I usually upload the podcast at 5, and being that there really isn't much more to cover this weekend, I literally went over everything as it pertains to the Survivor Series, man. So there's not going to be a podcast on Sunday. The review will be right after the show. So make sure you guys are right here sometime after the show on Sunday night to get your official Survivor Series review. Takeover review will happen on Saturday night. And I will probably upload something that I have just lingering around, maybe some video game content on Sunday morning just to fill the need for something earlier on in the day, and then we'll hit the Survivor Series on Sunday night, man. So thank you guys so very much. Hope you enjoyed this weekend's podcast. If you did, please hit that thumbs up. Follow me on Twitter, at JD from NY206. Hit that subscribe button down below. Turn on the bell for notifications, and if you want to support, patreon.com/JD from NY206. Remember, man, barbershopwindow.com/offthescript. harrys.com/script for your free trial shave set, and audibletrial.com/offthescript. 30 days free of their service and one free audiobook of your choice just by using our unique link, audibletrial.com/offthescript, man. Remember to hit that thumbs up. I'll see you guys tonight for TakeOver, and I'll see you guys tomorrow for the Survivor Series 2018. Until then, enjoy your weekends, man, and I will see you all this weekend for the big events happening at the Staples Center in Los Angeles. I'll talk to you later.